Welcome to the Late Late Show with BT, where views with security into law are being provided to you, the public. We are proceeding as if you've been keeping up without our co-host. And for this show, because I had happened to take out information for two shows. So for this show, we are going to do time May 28th, 2018, people May 28th, 2018. So that's time and people both days. People Special Collectors issue June 4th, 2018, and people May 21st, 2018, and Cosmopolitan June 2018. We are going to go back into the book, which is Being a Teen by Jane Fonda. Um, and we're highlighting our love connection with Alvin um, um, with regards to Jane Fonda versus Jane Goodall. So we're going to try to complete that today. And we didn't complete the UN news last time. We'll see if we can go back in. We were having technical difficulties when it was coming up, and then it went back into that same one. So we'll see what's up with that. And we may also have an out of network spotlight this show. This show is not going to be as long as the other show. So we'll just get started. And for some reason, I feel like doing a song. We still, I don't think I mentioned, or I may have, about Toys R Us and Babies R Us and Kids R Us closing. I feel as though they have really gotten involved because I know you mentioned that we are in court with this child baby molester that ended up being identified as the 911 terrorist attacker. So I don't know if it's just so hard to believe that someone that you thought was an adult will be coming after babies and what they have and who they have, but the bankruptcy and the closure of Babies R Us really should be an eye opener. And we had so the date for some differ, but it's the end of this month, and I guess it's somewhere around the last week of June. So decided to venture out and check out some other ones versus the ones that are just closer to the vicinity. And so yesterday, I had the goal to go to Virginia Beach, which was a site of an offense of this offender too. But somehow I had to pee, and I found myself in Newport News. And what do you know? I see a Babies R Us, and there's a Toys R Us across the street. So fortunately, I was able to visit more than one yesterday. I feel thankful for that. So I'm like, if I'm able to, and I'm gonna look and see right now. If possible, to visit, because, all these, I think I mentioned that these films, animated films, all of this stuff, it's like their hub. Now, granted, some of the prices, because they've dropped a lot of their prices, I think because the prices that I've been purchasing stuff seem to be like the ideal price. Um, but it's considered sale price, because of the store. So, but I don't recall going to any before, the price lowering. So I don't really know. Um, but, I just think that you, in this market, it really, even though parents are buying them, that the focus is still is the same. Even when you include parents. Um, so, um, there was. It seemed as though they may have disabled the, or maybe not. Okay. I'm like, maybe you can't do that. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do because I'm not gonna continue to try to pull this up every time, and I don't have a pen or a pencil. But I do have a pen. Or I know what I can do. I can send it to my email. But anyway, there are. I'm gonna try to go to. There's one in Chesapeake, Norfolk, Charlottesville, Fredericksburg. Um, but I don't see. I don't think these are all of them that's coming up. That's the only thing. Let's see. Let's check out my distances. Okay. Yeah, so there are some other ones that are a little bit further around. Unfortunately, I don't have a pen or a pencil. No. But I'm gonna try to go to some of these other ones. I'm gonna keep that up because I want to write it down. Okay, so we'll begin. Meet the new LBD Little Blazer dress. On the brink of a $100 million divorce, Rolex is proud to be the official partner of Time's next generation of leaders and to celebrate those who can change the world. Courtney Barnett is the indie rock shining light. On the slow burn opener, hopefulness. There's a difference between being hopeful and having hopefulness, one L. She describes a scene littered with empty bottle blues and people sleeping in different rooms, her disdain for their malaise dripping palpably off the notes. Her sound is a throwback to a time that existed not so long ago when dirty, bluesy guitars and a rhythm section paired with clever lyrics was the sound du jour. And right now, she's the best thing indie rock has going for it. Fast, becoming one of the more interesting musicians documenting life in a hyper self-aware society. Aussie musician Courtney Barnett is the best thing indie rock has going for it. Kevin Kennard. In the end, the young activist failed to get enough support. 66% of SPD members voted to back the Grand Coalition. There is more than one way to be beautiful and cool, has said of reshaping traditional beauty standards. Now for Charlie Campbell. Favorite chess piece is not the mighty queen, but the humble pawn. When the pawn gets to the other side, it can become anything except the king, says the woman who at 14 became the game's youngest female grandmaster, and at 16 is youngest women's world champion. Maybe it was not polite to my opponents, but at that moment I thought it was the only way to bring attention to the system, she says, shrugging. For the best way to bring out broader change is to focus on your own self improvement, much like the pawn. You have to be the hero of yourself, she says. Anthony Boyle. Anthony Boyle's mom says she knew he was going to be a star from the first moment she saw him on stage. Despite appearing in what he describes as some of the worst plays imaginable while he was a struggling actor, Boyle was recruited by the prestigious Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama at age 19. From London's West End to Broadway, Cursed began its sold-out New York run in April. Boyle is now being hailed as one of theater's most promising talents. Sam Lansky. It beams out of her as she sprawls on the lawn, murmuring the baby talk to Toulouse, her rescue beagle Chihuahua, and it suffuses the way she bows out of the house into the yard, spinning and twirling in a frilly gray tulle dress. She has a lot of reasons to be happy. At 24, is one of the biggest pop stars in the world, and she's coming out with the new music 2 years after her last album, the blockbuster Dangerous Woman. Going off the title, you'd expect a big torch ballad. She's run out of tears. Made a song about resilience because she has had to be resilient in ways that are difficult to imagine after a terrorist detonated a bomb outside her May 22nd, 2017 concert in Manchester, England, killing 22 people and leaving more than 500 injured. What happened is part of the song, but the song is not about what happened. She often wears her hair in a big ponytail, but today it is pulled back into an elaborate top knot with little wisps of hair coming down behind her ears like a halo. So I do want to say that I don't know when her birthday is, but she's 24. 22 people were killed. It says killing 22 people. May 22nd. And that's all I'm going to say about that. My friend from preschool found a notebook that we must have written when we were 5 or 6 years old that was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? She says. Mine said, I want to be on Nickelodeon. And then I want to sing. It didn't sound like the music she had recorded for Nickelodeon. It was breezy, catchy throwback soul, and it showed off her towering voice, which at times sounds almost instrumental. Her first album, Yours Truly, debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 and sold more than 500,000 copies worldwide. And her follow-ups, My Everything and Dangerous Woman, did even better. Became the third most followed person on Instagram. They decided to put on a concert in Manchester to benefit the families that were affected. The minute they arrived, just days after the bombing, they set out to help. As the concert loomed, they began to worry that people would be too afraid to show up. The show, called One Love Manchester, was broadcast live on British TV and streamed all over the world, alongside information about how to donate. It helped raise over $12 million for victims of the bombing and their families. You know, for the rest of her life, she can say that she is actually who she claims to be. But to ignore it would be disingenuous. That's why I did my best to react the way I did. Music is supposed to be the safest thing in the world, she continues. The bee has been a symbol of Manchester for years. It's a nod to the city's hardworking citizens, the worker bees who built up the region during the Industrial Revolution. Wow, I didn't even know that. We had a lot to talk about with what we've both been through. She decided to call it that because that's the message she wanted to get to her fans, that you can take a bad situation and make it better. One Love Manchester benefit concert, which took place on June 4th, helped raise more than $12 million for victims of the bombing and their families. Moving on. They have invested their winnings not only to preserve their bounty, but also to root themselves and their offspring in a new aristocracy that is more entrenched than the old boy network. Protected versus unprotected by the numbers. Palestinians rest in the field near the border as the day's demonstrations wind down. Lisa Feldman Barrett, PhD, author of How Emotions Are Made. The human brain is wired so that people see what they believe. They're less likely to be misunderstood. Jamie Ducharme. But that's not because language skills start to go downhill. It's just that you run out of time because your ability to learn starts dropping at around 17 or 18 years old. People who start a few years after age 10 may still become quite good at a language, the authors say, but they are unlikely to become fluent. Kids may be better than adults at learning new languages for many reasons. Children's brains are more plastic than those of adults, meaning they're better able to adapt and respond to new information. All learning involves the brain changing, it says, and children's brains seem to be a lot more adept at changing. Some scientists believe that the window begins to close shortly after birth, while others stretch it to early adolescence. And moving to a place where your desired language is spoken is the best way to learn as an adult. By doing so, it's possible to become conversationally proficient even without the advantage of a child's brain. A bet bigger than sports. Why kids are so much better than adults at learning languages. Lightbox. Sam and Zima. It's not often that a picture changes the world, but the image of a 13-year-old boy shot by police during the June 16, 1976 student uprising in Soweto, South Africa, did. In preserving a moment of naked horror, photographers Sam and Zima, who died at age 83 on May 12, produced a potent weapon in the fight against apartheid, evidence of its brutality. On that day, Nzima set out to cover what was supposed to be a peaceful protest. Protesters incensed by the death rose up across South Africa and launched a new era of Black activism. The brief time with the bulletin. China map causes trouble for the Gap. The brief news. The brief. The bully pulpit. President Trump is expected to campaign hard this year to boost Republican turnout. Brian Bennett. Donald Trump was about halfway through a campaign rally in Elkhart, Indiana on May 10th when he called Republican Senate nominee to the stage of the packed gymnasium. After the businessman praised the president, Trump lit into Braun's opponent, Democratic Senator, with characteristic ferocity. Sleeping Joe and the Democrats, Trump said, would raise the crowd's taxes, destroy their jobs, and erode U.S. borders. You can send a really incredible swamp person back to the Senate, he told them, or you can send us Republicans to drain the swamp. It was a preview of what is shaping up to be a long, hot summer filled with campaigning by Trump. As Republicans try to stave off a Democratic takeover of Congress, President Trump plans to throw himself into the fray, fly into rallies as often as twice a week by the end of the summer to slam Democratic candidates, according to two White House advisors. Aides believe the president will help raise the profile of local Republicans, and party strategists have set their sights on Senate and House races in 10 states that Trump won by large margins. Trump will target Democrats in Indiana and Senator in Montana, whom Trump has attacked for helping kill the nomination White House position to become Secretary of the Department of Veterans Affairs. But the Republican Party believes Trump can break the pattern. There's no one better to turn out our Republican base than President Trump, says a spokeswoman for the Republican National Committee. Hoping to boost the number of GOP seats in the Democrat held Congress, Nixon campaigned aggressively during the 1970 midterms, giving a famously divisive law and order speech after protesters threw rocks at his motorcade in San Jose, California. But the centerpiece of the strategy is simply to put Trump in front of voters and let him loose. But that's case to make. There's no one better to turn out our Republican base than President Trump, GOP spokesman. U.S. Senator who is being treated for brain cancer, tweeting well wishes to Harry Reid, Nevada Democrat and former Senate, no, John McCain, U.S. Senator, who is being treated for brain cancer, tweeting well wishes to Harry Reid, Nevada Democrat and former Senate Majority Leader, who recently underwent surgery for pancreatic cancer. 2020 is the year by which California will require almost all new homes to be built with solar panels. That is quite interesting. Almost all new homes to be built with solar panels. That is by 2020. And there's a little sign that says, "Welcome to Solar Valley Estates." Estimated time 2020. Wow. So I don't know if California is one of those states that, like, they're doing something to protect themselves if we are not in title by 2020. Or it may be one of those things where they're doing it for being a representative of a state for the entire United States with regards to 2020. The brief. President Trump's plan to boost GOP candidates, we reviewed that. In the rock new throwback star, we talked about that. By time staff. And there's also a generation of achievers was supposed to embody the best of the nation. Instead, they broke it. Annette Benning. I usually get on the bike or the elliptical, and then sometimes I will admit I'll just be dancing by myself if I'm really in the mood. I'm very moved by the kids who have become activists and how they've mobilized the rest of the country. I happen to be up very early on Easter. All right, so I'm now at a puzzler, and I have never to date been a crossword puzzler person. I've attempted, but completing all of them, not really. So some of the ones stood out, and we're going to see if we can just Google the answers. For instance, Charlize Theron's birth month, abbreviated, and it is 3 letters going across. Let me go see if I can give me a pencil or something. So I go there and I'm like, I'm going there trying to see if I can get me a pen. And I'm like, I see my pen because I'm looking in my bag and I know I kept a pen in there. And I'm like, I see my pen. I don't know how it dropped or whatever, but I'm like, that's my pen. Somebody turned it in. It's like, can I have it back? And she's like, So anyway, I have my pen and it's awesome. So now we're looking up Charlize Theron. And according to this, it's AUG. Oh my gosh. Okay, so superhero played by, anyway, 37 across, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And superhero Black Panther. Taylor Swift's Blank Beautiful Tragic. Taylor Swift Beautiful Tragic. Sad. I'm sorry, 51, 3 letters, SAD. Jacob's brother in the Bible, we're going down 4 letters. ESAU. And that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and write these down while I'm thinking about it. But I'm gonna try to get myself out and go to it if possible. Okay. Now I need something to write on. So okay, found something. All right, so let's see. Where should we go? You're gonna help me choose live. So Norfolk. There's one in Norfolk. For some reason, I thought there was one on. For some reason, I thought there was one in Roanoke. So there's Norfolk. And Fredericksburg. Thank you. Okay, so now that we got that out the way, with regards to Babies R Us and Toys R Us, it would be awesome if I could go to every single one in Virginia, but I can at least go to the closest one. I try. I can least do that. I didn't know that Woodbridge, that there was some that was closer than Woodbridge. And I'm going to Woodbridge. So yeah, I'm gonna at least try to go to the closest one. Unless there's some that kind of stand out and you inspire me to go to, such as, let's see, there's Fairfax, Greenville, Alexandria, Manassas, Springfield, Waldorf, Oxon Hill, Clinton. Clinton would probably be interesting. I don't mind going there. Not that any of the other ones are not interesting. Oh man, I'm sorry, that's in Maryland. I'm not going to Maryland. I thought it was still in Virginia. So some of these places are Maryland and not Virginia. So Waldorf, I don't know what that is. Waldorf is actually Maryland. That's not Virginia. Manassas, Springfield, I think Springfield is Virginia. And then there's Alexandria, Springfield, there's Fairfax, that might be interesting. And it might be interesting to go there. You know, by all means, if I'm not able to go there personally. Let's see, Manassas, Greenville, Oxon Hill, I think that's Maryland. Clinton is Maryland. I think where some of these are in North Carolina too. So Sterling, is Sterling Maryland, or let's see. Sterling is Virginia. Okay, what do you think? You think we should go to Sterling? Springfield, Manassas, is Portsmouth and Boulevard. That's interesting. And yeah, that is really interesting. So anyway, I think I'll be able to go to all of them. There's only a few more days left. But for some reason, I still feel inspired to write them all down. So we got Norfolk, Charlottesville, Woodbridge. Let's see. This Woodbridge on this circle. And Manassas, I'm going to write Manassas down. That's 10318 Fort Smith Road, Manassas. And Charlottesville is Virginia Beach, and then Sterling, so that was in Virginia. Oh, Springfield. That's in the mall. 6447. And let's see, Alexandria, 661 Kings Town with E. Alexandria. Yeah, Greenville. Where's Greenville? That's in North Carolina. And Fairfax. Yeah, this Fairfax, Clinton, Sterling is in Virginia. Smithfield, is that Virginia? 46. I'm going to get back to the show, but this is a part of it too. Smithfield is in North Carolina. The other question is Bailey's Crossroads. Is that Virginia? Bailey's Crossroads is Virginia. And Oxon Hill, I think that's Maryland, Smithfield, Cary, Annapolis, Maryland, Danville, Winchester. Okay, so I'm gonna look up Cary. That's North Carolina. All right, so I think we got most, if not all, of the Virginia, and we're gonna get back to the show. And this ensemble is equal parts comfortable and chic, whether you're traveling by plane, train, or car. Travel special, people, beauty. All the good, none of the bad. The best in the Southwest. I have the best job in the world. Anthony Bourdain. Rest in peace, Anthony Bourdain. So this was May 28th. He was in 2018 of People. As you know, he passed in June 8th, shortly after Kate Spade passed June 5th. I think they said just suicide by hanging. It was in France. And we just put it all connecting to the same case. And the passing that started on, I think, the 21st, if I got my days right, and then that Sunday, which followed that, and then Tuesday, and then his. Beloved for playing Superman's Lois Lane, she battled mental illness and wanted to help others in need. The best new books by Kim Hubbard. Michael Pollan, How to Change Your Mind. He came away impressed by their promise in treating addiction and depression, and with his mind expanded, yours will be too. Jessica Knoll, a juicy whodunit staged behind the scenes of just such a fictional show. That's what. And follow-up to 2015's Luckiest Girl Alive, one of the viciously ambitious stars of the series Gold Diggers ends up dead. And the truth behind the murder isn't revealed until each conniving cast member presents her version of the backstory. William Trevor, Last Stories. Heather Abel, The Optimistic Decade. Those are just some of the best new books. Courtney Barnett, Tell Me How You Really Feel. Jessica Fecteau, Australian model, 35, gave birth to her second child and first with her husband, Snapchat CEO, 27, on May 7th. The boy joins 7-year-old son with her ex-husband. Happy birthday. Now for Michael B. Jordan, through all the pain and discomfort that she's in, she always seems to be there to support everybody else. Shawn Mendes and Nicole Sands, the biggest thing for me was not holding it all in and talking with friends and family. What's the best advice he shared? Mendes will perform at the Billboard Music Awards May 20th, 8 p.m. What's the best advice he shared? I don't know. Oh my gosh, what's the best advice he shared? Oh, okay. I mean, because it is Shawn Mendes and Nicole Sands, right? So, okay, the question is, what's the best advice he shared? The best advice he shared is to, because like when um, you know, what's that song by, what's her name? Erica Badu. And it goes something like, you know, I'm talking and you ain't hearing. It's like I'm not saying anything, you're not hearing me. Or it's going in one ear, out the other. So the best advice he shared is to, you know, like show the show as much as you can, I guess. You know, even when there's an attempt to present fraud or to lie, and like they're not going to tell the truth, or whether they know the truth or not, to just show it. And you know, like when there's not just an attempt, but like the offender means to offend you and will continue until and will not stop. Show it. So I think that's the best advice that he shared. Her buzziest truth bombs. The house built by Grace's parents, John and Brendan, in 1925 still has the basement pub they used during Prohibition. Mary Green. I cannot be more blessed to have the most incredible partner by my side. Annette Rogue on the brink of divorce. This is not going to get played out in the press. His lawyers wants this to be okay. Annette Rogue on the brink of divorce. His lawyers want this to be a quick transaction. The kids are most important to both of them, says one source. A cleanse doesn't have to be extreme. These stars commanded the red carpet and tailored two pieces ranging from blush to bubblegum. In a May 10th Instagram post, John Stamos introduced his 1-month-old son, who was decked in a onesie inspired by his dad's fictional band, to Full House castmates. What makes this powerful sunscreen the best for your skin? They're outgrowing most things. Their food doesn't have to be one of them. Sam Cass, the former White House chef and author of Eat a Little Better, packs tons of flavor into this summer side, using 2 bunches of scallions cut into 2-inch pieces and 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Broil in preheated oven until scallions are tender and lightly charred in spots and corn is charred but still has bite. About 15 minutes, tossing one or twice during cooking. How about a little with Michael Simon? Skirt steak is one of the best values at the butcher counter, says the Chew host and author of Playing with Fire. 1 tablespoon of light brown sugar. Reserve 1 tablespoon. Refrigerate remaining puree in an airtight container for up to 3 weeks. Serve together 1 tablespoon of chipotle puree, brown sugar, salt, coriander, cumin, and lime juice in a small bowl. Place the steak in a large Ziploc plastic bag. Oh, and that's it. My bad. It's Michael Simon. People, beauty. People beauty. People beauty. But this time, that's for the beach. So question, what's the best way to treat a sunburn? Oh my gosh. For some reason, I'm thinking with sunburn cream, but that might not be the best way. Um, I don't know. The best way to treat a sunburn. With a sunburn treatment product. All the products and tips you need this season, from the hottest bronzer to the best new SPFs. Another question, people beauty. What's the best new bronzer? It's more forgiving than shimmery bronzer, says the brand's makeup artist who used it. Steve Helling and Christine Hellisek. Up in the early morning hours, she left the house at 5 to begin her route long before the rest of the family was even awake. Now, with the last school day of the year less than 2 weeks away, she was as excited as her students as she listened to them buzz about her final report cards and summer plans. Parents, we are as shocked and confused as anyone else by these events that occurred, parents said in a statement, insisting that what happened seems incompatible with the boy we love. I jumped under the table and flipped it in front of me. The 16-year-old told reporters. I took off out the back door, and when I was running, I realized I was shot in the back of the head. All right, so again, we got this main offender that we've been trying to resolve is this 911 terrorist attacker. So, just back from that perspective, the offender, the killer, 911 terrorist attacker. Up in the early morning hours, she left the house at 5 to begin her route, long before the rest of the family was even awake. Now, with the last school of the year less than 2 weeks away, she was excited as her students as she listened to them buzz about final report cards and summer plans. We are as shocked and confused as anyone else by these events that occurred, parents said in a statement, insisting that what happened seems incompatible with the boy we love. I jumped under the table and flipped it in front of me, the 16-year-old told reporters. So the killer, the offender, is the 911 terrorist attacker. Because these unfortunately, this quote unquote law enforcement were trying to, get out. You're like, how did this go on so long? The access to these weapons, the access to trying to like break into, where law enforcement was supposed to be. How is this happening? So unfortunately, we got and had to support the closing of the city of Petersburg law enforcement, because in whoever, and if applicable, court representatives that have been working with, whether knowingly or unknowingly, or assisting, aiding, and abetting this 911 terrorist attacker. So I took off out the back door, and when I was running, I realized I was shot in the back of the head. The bullet went through the back of the head, as in his left ear, which doctors told me was the perfect scenario. If the bullet would have done anything else, I could be paralyzed, he said. This kid in our class, who I had never spoken to before, sat down next to me and rubbed my back, telling me to breathe and keep me calm. Officer John Barnes, a former Houston police captain who now works for the Santa Fe Independent School District, ran toward the shots and took the shotgun blast to both arms as he exchanged gunfire with the 911 terrorist attack. So the victims included Kimberly Jessica Vaughn, 14. She was a force to be reckoned with. And Christopher Stone, 17. I want him to be remembered as a sweet person who touched everybody's heart and not as a victim of another tragedy. Live beautiful. Effective, eco-friendly beauty that's friendly to your body and planet. The new Bachelorette. So I think that we'll do is that anything that comes across our, that comes across what we have that is terrorist related, extreme terror, horrific, that seems as though it relates to this 911 terrorist attacker. Until that 911 terrorist attacker meets his justice, we have cause to do that. After that, then we can go and be like, okay, well, whoever this offender is, whatever, address it right now. But until that time, the offender is an attempted murder. Whoever was being caught or held for that crime as a psychopath. And we are exploring it with truth that the 911 terrorist attacker has been attempting again psychopathically. Nigel Smith. Her no-nonsense character who's back trading zingers in Deadpool 2 has lived a life, says, and so has herself. I would never forget that. But I was always the kind of person that goes, hello world, here I am. It was better than going to any school. Your immune system may be the key to beating cancer. The best way is to pamper your pet. Pets are the stars of the show in our homes, and luckily at Walmart, treating a canine celebrity doesn't have to be pricey. Amanda. Paul Bettany. Star Wars is what made me want to become an actor, he says. Nobody wants to see you pretend to be somebody else, he says. Donald Glover. They just couldn't be more beautiful together. Megan's makeup artist. Brian Maroney, the 7-year-old, is one of twin sons born to Megan's friend, Jessica Maroney, a Toronto-based stylist, and the son of former Canadian Prime Minister Brian Maroney. John Maroney, with his twin brother Brian, the 7-year-old, helped carry Megan's veil. I guess you're like, no, the second in line Megan didn't try to have 7-year-old twins. No, she didn't. Question, did the bishop go off script? My guess is because of situations like 2 7-year-old twins by the name of Brian and John, that he probably stayed on script. Behind the scenes, as Jeweler gets ready for the biggest event of the year. Their childhoods were vastly different, but destiny and a blind date brought them together. Was a scamp who loved to stir up trouble, says biographer Patrick Jefferson. William had the upper hand, but his little brother showed no sign of throwing in the towel. From school runs to doctor's visits, sleepovers, and birthday parties, Mommy was at charge. Love and marriage may have completed the transition from reckless underdog to respected global figure, but there's still something irresistibly defiant in Schwartz's bride. This determination to bypass convention and carve his own path is reminiscent of his mother's refusal to be a royal reject, and her determination to turn her own unhappiness into helping those in greatest need. If he can marry an actor, so can I, says Prince. Patrick Jefferson. That willingness to look beyond traditional constraints was the key to Diana's self-reinvention. Proud to announce our partnership with the world's leading botanical experts, Royal Botanic Gardens Kew. Michelle Tauber. Bishop Michael Curry's words captured the spirit of a modern royal wedding that blended countries and cultures in a celebration of true love. And speaking of true love, we went through Jennifer Lopez's book, True Love. We're not going to have time to get to it today, but we will revisit it next show. When the bride entered and walked down from the west door on her own, the sun came in through the windows and through her veil, says guest Dominique Reed. Thanks, Pa, said to his dad before turning to and whispering, you look amazing. While the queen maintained her signature stoicism and other royal guests seemed surprised by the exuberant oratory, it was clear to everyone in the chapel and around the world that this service was rewriting the royal wedding rules. The day also showcased the blossoming bond between family and mother. A Los Angeles social worker and yoga instructor met the queen for the first time the day before the wedding. It was an incredibly beautiful touch. The decision to have Charles walk her down the aisle came after her own father, former television lighting director Thomas Markle, dropped out unexpectedly in embarrassment over staged tabloid photos and ongoing health issues. The last minute change was a deeply personal moment, she said in a statement released by the palace. But the decision to walk down the aisle most of the way by herself was always by design. So there's like a rush to be like, oh my gosh, you know the real Megan's father's name is Thomas, and that's probably why he didn't want to show up at this wedding because she's not the first Megan in line for Harry. Oh my gosh. But continuing. When it was Charles' turn, he was saying that he could hardly believe that this lovely fine man was the same baby he had changed the nappies of unsuccessfully and put to bed at night with a bottle. Because she's not the first Megan. That same relaxed vibe had been on display a few hours earlier when listening to 50s music on Spotify as her rescue beagle played at her feet and makeup artist and hairstylist got her ready for the biggest day of her life. Swapped her gown for a slinky halter dress and aquamarine ring that had once belonged to Princess Diana. Martin, who was with behind the scenes for much of the biggest day of her life, says he was most impressed by the genuine partnership between the bride and the groom. Although he was visibly nervous in the moments before the ceremony, I think it helped when he saw her and how poor she was. He felt more comfortable then. So, like we were mentioning with the book being a team, and I love connection with Alvin because unfortunately Jane H isn't the one for him. We have Jane Fonda and Jane Goodall. It's kind of like that with Harry. He's with Meghan. So should you support him being with the wrong Meghan just because he's married to Meghan and the ring that he wears is to Meghan? Should you still support him with the Meghan that's not specifically for him? It's kind of like that with Alvin. A story of the cruelest kind of betrayal. You know, just because he's with Jane, should you support him with the Jane that's not for him? You know, the ring that he wears, yes, because he's married to Jane. The ring that Harry wears, yes, because he's married to Meghan. Does that mean that he can marry any Meghan? Does that mean that he can marry and stay with any Jane? The Best New Books with Kim Hubbard. Drama by the Sea, Friends Making Beautiful Music, and a Gossip Columnist Affair with F. Scott Fitzgerald. Included as well as Michael Chabon, Pops, from the novelist and father of four, a poignant, often hysterical essays on what it means to be a dad, a son, and a man. Pops, a character in a play called Betty's Boys that was just shown a couple of Sundays ago at St. Paul's Baptist Church. So I Facebook that one of the characters, we're going through this whole situation of the 911 terrorist attack and getting resolved, and then the character just happened to be the offender. Same situation, just happened to be in the play, playing Junior, but a senior. And Pops is one of the characters playing his dad. But the thing was, the play, we're on this connectivity together, and word travels, I guess, even when you don't talk to people. When you stay present, you kind of see what's going on and why stuff happening like this play. So from this play, it was just, just explaining that, it's not nothing to be guilty about, that you can't support this judge, this senior judge, because the play clearly, if as an example of what happened, with regards to this judge, Dennis Martin Sr., is that, there were, even his mother had things in place for him to succeed at whatever it was that he was doing. But the character in this play, he was boasting, as opposed to a judge, he was boasting having the #1 engineering firm in the world. So, and his two brothers, or two and another, and it's like one of the other brothers were, he was kind of putting down, looking down on, or trying to, I can get you a job, you can go back to school and be better, and, or be more like me, But the point is, it was clear that the mother had put things, there were things, not just the mother, but God, and manifest in his mother to have things for his success at whatever it was that he did. And clearly there was attempts to have him go within that was put there by God, that would manifest through his mom. And continue to degrade it, as if he was against everything that was trying to save him or to be a savior to him, and just was in contempt the entire time. But he's this and he's that. I was like, oh my gosh, and just being who you are in God and active in the church and in that whole being, not just saved, but contributing to savior or saint or sainthood, and here in contempt, not just, in contempt in court, in contempt at God and God's people. Jessica Fecteau, singer, 25, married German basketball player, 28, in a private ceremony on May 19th. Happy birthday. Nikki Bella and John Cena are already back together. Just a month after Nikki Bella and John Cena announced they were splitting up and calling off their May 5th wedding, the WWE stars seem to be on the road to reconciliation. They're basically back together, says a source close to the couple who was spotted out together in San Diego on May 19th for the first time since their April 15th split. Cena, 41, and Bella, 34, initially called it quits as they clashed over their impending wedding and his reluctance to have kids. They truly broke up. But Bella told People on May 16th that she 100% believes the actor wrestler has changed his tune. I truly think that he wants to be a father, she said. He's meant to be a dad. This time next year, they'll be married for sure. Nikki Baylor to people after their breakup. Jamie Lynn Spears and Baby Ivy. Things are getting back to normal now, says the Kenwood, LA-based country singer-songwriter, 27. I am breastfeeding, so she is pretty on demand with that. Says of her baby who recently got hungry at her big sister's softball game. I sat in the car at the ballpark and breastfed. Throwback. Jackson, who is mom to son of Asa, 17 months, hadn't delivered a televised performance in 9 years before the BBMAs. Janet Jackson lose the Billboard Music Awards. Janet Jackson made history at the annual awards show, where she hit the stage to perform a high-energy medley of her classics, Nasty, If, and Throb, before becoming the first Black woman to accept the Icon Award. So it finally got here while they advertised that her baby daddy is a billionaire. And I mentioned last show about taxes and, Oprah Winfrey paying taxes versus Wendy Williams not. By her being Penny as a kid, that little chunk just kind of went to her too. So it's like, her baby daddy pays taxes, but Janet Jackson does not. So we have some people that, so I don't want to be like, everybody just stop paying taxes, tax evasion. But I have to say that those who went against the grain and knew that, and you weren't crazy. I just want to say that you weren't crazy if you felt something wasn't right about you paying taxes because of this, or because you thought, you'll go here or you'll go there, and this threat was, like, oh, now this threat, or you're a stalker now trying to do your mail. You were not crazy. So those people that got charged with tax evasion, got jail time for tax evasion when it weren't warranted, then those courts, those judges, those lawyers that were against it or that were rooting for you to get jail time, rooting for you to get charged, of course, being who we are, focusing right now with security and law, those type of things have to be resolved, of course. But on the whole scheme of things, not just, you getting your justice, but you have to imagine that everyone that has paid taxes, all that money has to be reversed, refunded. And in ours, it wouldn't just be in the state that, of broadcast or the state of, business corporation. It's across the globe that charges taxes has to be reversed. It's basically in any nation that's with the United Nations. So that's a lot. And it would be an awesome undertaking for the saints and God's people to make that happen for 2020. Lauren Ambrose, the Tony nominee 40, plays Eliza Doolittle in the Broadway musical My Fair Lady. What's been the biggest challenge? These big musicals, man, they are no joke. The Big Bang Theory actor 43 co-produces and stars in the horror comedy The Cleanse. Taste you love, whatever you love to do. Honey, the best thing to happen to your cup since coffee. So we got another crossword. So I like to buy blank pet, 2 words across 3 letters. It can't be a vowel because it has too many words. I'd like to buy what, Pat? A letter? What is that? It's either a letter or a vowel, right? I like to buy, let me see, 30 across, 3 letters. I like to buy what? Let me see if I can Google that and see what will come up. I'd like to buy hat. I like to buy a, what's the answer? Oh my gosh. Oh, so it's and something. Well, that could be any letter. That could be any letter, any letter. So they got all these possible answers. So evidently I'm not the only one that tried to Google it. So are these answers got A, O, I, or E? So I'm gonna say, what do I want to buy, Pat? I think I like to buy an, oh, wait a minute. Oh, you have to buy a vowel. Is that how it goes? You buy a vowel? So it has to be A, E, I, O, U. So I think I want to buy an A. We're going to do A and A. So Britney Spears, Tell the World, going down 4 letters. Britney Spears, Till the World Ends. Big Apple initials, going down 3 letters, NYC. Okay, government agency in the blacklist, abbreviated, going down 3 letters. Oh my gosh, really? Government agency in the blacklist. I am not the only person that Googled this. So what is the answer? It is FBI. 49. FBI. See the cat she was born to be. You taste different flavors with each bite, says the chef owner of Royal Butchery in Philadelphia. Virginia Willis, nothing beats this cake's rich, buttery flavor, says the author of Secrets of the Southern Table. Join the battle against cancer today. Blueberry tea brine chicken thighs. Let's begin by stirring together, or you can stir together sugar, zest, star anise, peppercorns, and 2 cups of water in a saucepan over medium. Bring to a bowl. Bring 2 quarts water to a bowl in a medium saucepan over high. Serve with blueberry tea. And you will have blueberry tea brine chicken thighs. Because what else would you serve blueberry tea brined chicken thighs with but blueberry tea? The best of Target's new beauty brands. People Beauty. In the bag, because it's in the bag. These big and bold styles are a fun addition to any outfit. Kim Hubbard. Before they sign on to co-star in a new movie book club about 4 women of a certain age whose love lives are revitalized after they read 50 Shades of Grey. Hollywood icons, Jane Fonda, 80, 72, Mary Steenburgen, 65, didn't know one another. The quartet spoke to people about making the film, how they all bonded, and what's better than sex. To be a part of this cast is a great honor. So I guess reading this book comes at a good time because she's got a movie out called Book Club, or it's about to come out. So, what are your beauty secrets? Um, I don't really have any beauty secrets. Um, know your snowball. Little digit. Just because this costs the sleep of life of pets. Anyway. So what's better than sex? What's better than sex? What's better? Gender? How the comedy queen got the last laugh by focusing on what matters most: a fabulous family, a red hot career, and three little words of advice from her mom and dad that made all the difference. Kim Hubbard, The Best New Books. Stories of Simon's hits and flops, insecurities, three marriages, perfectionist dad, and frenemy, Art Garfunkel, makes the book as engaging as a lively American tune. And that's Robert Kilburn's Paul Simon, The Life. David and his ex-wife Julie haven't seen each other since they both realized he was gay almost 30 years ago. And then there's The Best Cook in the World. 20% better coverage day or night. Try the next size up for up to 20% better coverage day or night. 2018 Billboard Music Awards, number 10, Beast. And there's Arctic Monkeys, Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. Strangely titled songs, The Ultra Cheese, feature stranger lyrics, but the new piano-driven aesthetic draws you in. It says, strangely titled songs and even stranger lyrics. But it's called Arctic Monkeys, Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. Following his Grammy-nominated 2016 debut, new album combines popular notes he got his start writing for Luke Bryan in Little Big Town with the rootsy styling championed by and producer Brent's cousin, who plays on every track. Jessica Fettel, actress and TV host Tia Mowry Hadrick, 39, gave birth to a daughter on May 5th, her second child with her husband, actor 90210 star 28, and her husband, 31, are expecting a daughter later this year. Real Housewives of New Jersey star 55 married on May 5th at the Luna Beach Club on North Bimini Island on the Bahamas. Happy birthday! John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, or just John Krasinski's Brooklyn Townhouse. John Cena and Nikki Bailey getting back together. John Cena and Nikki Bailey called off their year-long engagement just 3 weeks before their wedding, but the pair is now on a path to reconciliation, says a source who adds that the WWE stars have constantly been in touch since announcing their split April 15. They will almost definitely get back together. They got away from what made them work, which is the bond that's just between John and Nicole, not John Cena, WWE superstar, and Nikki Bailey, the Baylor twins, the source adds. They need to regroup, and they both want to do that. So at the end of the day, they still want to be together, so it says of the couple. So because it's a professional endeavor and they both work for Raw, it becomes kind of difficult to support them in a relationship, whether or not it includes kids, that isn't professional. And then if it got a Cupid quit, then it would have to solely be professional and consensual and already in theirs. But however, that being said, one that kind of beat it, and not necessarily beat it because one, I guess, have since retired, is AJB and CM Punk. Jamie Foxx, everyone knows they're dating, but they want to keep it private. Charlie Puth and Nicole Sands. Voice Notes is more me because it's inspired by the music I grew up listening to, jazz and R&B. I never thought I would be able to work with a living legend. Same with Boys to Men, If You Leave Me Now. George in Charlotte. The royal siblings are expected to be a page boy and bridesmaid, but the palace confirmed that baby Louis will not attend. 2 days after his 51st birthday, Tim McGraw attended a Country Music Hall of Fame and museum event with wife. And a sweet photo taken on third birthday, May 2nd, a new big sister in a hand-me-down sweater from Big Brother George IV cradles Louise. Little Prince, Louise. In the photo, taken by Kate just 3 days after her third child's birth on April 23rd, Louis wears a sweater by eerily previously purchased for Princess Charlotte by Nanny Maria Turion Varela. The country rocker opens up about battling addiction and finding a new joy in being a dad. Lisa Cahoy by People.com. I love that Chip isn't afraid to be goofy and silly. I will miss these two, but there are always reruns. Michael Skakel goes free. His heads. So you're on bridesmaid duty, and the maid of honor disappears before the toast. A, grab the mic, freestyle a speech, and dance grind the father of the bride. C, sounds like a best man problem as you head to the kids' table to help make balloons. This summer will be epic as long as you get real about your finances by the 5th. Melissa Frykowski. So again, we got another 911 terrorist attacker experience. The kids gathered in a corner like they'd been taught. At one moment, my mom called and I could barely talk to her. I had planned to go to 6 funerals, but I ended up going to only 3 because I just couldn't handle it. One friend of mine hasn't been able to come back to her classroom yet. I've already been through phases where I was numb and in shock, then totally upset and crying, then angry. He told her to bring her bikini but leave the tiara at home. When a French jet ferried them to a private island, she knew this was just the beginning of her new happily ever after. So I don't want to say this, but it's like there's some possibility that, like a theory is that, the thought of, like I mentioned, like Africa, the number one engineering firm in the world, this judge, this ambition, this, directed ambition by illegal self. That, oh my gosh, like raises in one, like this is the opportunity to get big, get huge, to spread, to get global. But without consent, what makes that different from rape? And you got all these different offenses. Buff that bod. Jessica Herman is dusk in Los Angeles and is swinging her long layered hair back and forth to the beat of Joy Division's Love Will Tear Us Apart. Yes, calls out Cosmo's on-set photographer Jason Kim as pauses to stare directly into his camera, doing her best to hold a sexy pout without blinking. In the moment, relaxed and smiling, she oozes realness and a vulnerability that feels at odds with who rocketed to fame in 2009 with a DGAF tude and even more DGAF lyrics. See, brush my teeth with a bottle of Jack and ain't got a care in the world but got plenty of beer. From her hit single TikTok, I thought I had to be very tough and really strong and portray that I didn't give a fuck And that just was not the case. The truth is that acting like the bold party girl from her songs took a toll, especially since in private she was often racked with insecurities. Her boyfriend, artist Brad Ashenfelter, and her assistant would put my ass in the car and drive me to the studio and be like, bye. Then I would write, and pain would turn into art, and the art would turn into healing, and the healing turned into a record. The moment thought by many to be the best of the night was touted as a fierce symbol of female empowerment. But then she and the other women gathered into a huddle and put their hands in the middle. They were like, and put their hands in the middle. I was like, no, no, no. Praying. But then she and the other women gathered into a huddle and put their hands in the middle, praying, all of us on three. But instead, they said my name and I burst into tears. It just took my breath away. That feeling of having people be there for you. I'm happy to be sometimes comfortable and sometimes confident. It just boils down to being a human being. Her fans will probably notice the difference she knows, but they shouldn't worry. I'm not going to be less crazy. So I'm not interested in dating Kesha. You know, it's kind of like, Harry and Meghan, you know, Brad doesn't go with Kesha. Sure, I can bake cupcakes for Kat's birthday. Lean back, baby. Ask Buds to BYO, blankets or chairs, but keep extras handy in case your show sells out. Repeat, all the good, none of the bad. But they do claim to slay stress and anxiety, relieve headaches, ease period cramps, soothe skin, improve sleep, and turbocharge your orgasms. Do you assume he will be the breadwinner in your relationship no matter what the future holds? Yes or no? I guess we're both the breadwinner. Nicole, 25, Philadelphia, PA. I wanted to tell them that these men are textbook losers. Lauren, 28, Long Island, New York. Once my guy and I got a little too comfy in the backseat. 31, drives for two of the biggest rideshare services out there. You say slut. I remember doing a play, my first semester at Union, and the director, slut, was in it. So that was one of his notes. He was like, no, say it like this, slut, slut. Like he wanted every letter enunciated. Slut. You say slut like it's a bad thing. In her book Invites Land Show, both titled Slut Ever, defines a slut as anyone who wants to have fire sex on their own terms, or, as she writes, a person who seeks out visceral experiences through sex. Slut. If friends or family are judging your liberal love life, their negativity by showing your excitement, says of sluts ever. Space out the time between dates with each person. Hey, enough trash talk about millennials being the hookup generation. Beauty. Must-haves are fun and fearless, just like you. Beauty. Beauty. Crop tops break the pattern with a sexy peak of skin. They are kind of cute. The ones that come off your shoulder. And this one doesn't even come off the shoulder. It's just like the shoulder is shoulderless. They are kind of cute. They should have blocked that former Flames number, but then we wouldn't have these gut-busting exchanges from text from your ex Insta account to shriek at. Beauty blender. So Parks and Rec Gym details her hilariously bumpy road to fame and so close to being the shit y'all don't even know. Prime your Netflix queue for new material from two comedy sheroes, special Hard Knock Wife, May 13th, and weekly series The Break with Michelle Wolf, May 25th. Be thankful for what you have. And you'll always be able to revisit our live tweets of the big day. And so we just may have time to go into the book. But before we do that, we have an out-of-network spotlight this show. Ibrance is a prescription medicine used to treat hormone receptor positive, HR+, human epidermal growth factor receptor 2 negative, HER2- breast cancer that has spread to other parts of the body, metastatic, in combination with an aromatase inhibitor as the first hormonal-based therapy in women who have gone through menopause. If you develop low white blood cell counts during treatment with Ibrance, your doctor may stop your treatment, decrease your dose, or may tell you to wait to begin your treatment cycle. Other common side effects include infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or hair loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite. Our out-of-network spotlight, Ibrance. Paul Book C-Clip, 125 mg capsules. So I don't know if they come in something else or something not. But this out-of-network spotlight is 125 mg capsules, Ibrance Pabo C-Clip. Now for being a teen, Jane Fonda. So if you haven't guessed already, when it comes to the Cupid Crib, there's a lot of different types that we support, and we haven't really gone to Cupid Crib a lot. But there's some, and I guess I put it in portfolio terms. There's some people in the portfolio who have, I don't want to say bought, but, or have in trust, where they have entrusted names, so this is who they are with. That's what that means. That is what they have in trust with us. So Harry is one of them. It seems like Alvin is another. Like I mentioned, Brad is another. The L word is another. So that's what that means. So it's an always situation. So this name, this ID always goes with this name on this ID. That's how it is. We have Patricia. We have Wilbur. So, and that's how we're able to go into defense, because in trust, that's how it is. It's not like that with everyone that we have, or that we support, that we put in the Cupid Crib, it's maybe a duplicate name with different names, where they didn't, I don't want to say purchase, but they didn't invest into that particular contribution. So where that investment is, then we're able to, and what we have with security and law, provide that defense. All right. So back to this. By nature, we are all sexual beings from the time we are born to the time we die. During adolescence, you are learning to bring all aspects of yourself into relationship, your values, thoughts, emotions, and yes, your sexuality. Sexuality in its totality, kissing, fondling, and so forth, and sexual intercourse specifically, is too important, too potentially beautiful, and too potentially harmful, both physically and emotionally, to enter into without being thoughtful. Don't you want to be able to look back on it as an important, beautiful experience, not an uncomfortable, empty one? There are many very positive aspects to waiting. You won't have to worry about getting pregnant or getting your partner pregnant. You won't have to worry about getting an STI, including HIV. You won't have to worry about making a decision every time you go out with someone. You will feel good about living your values. You'll have something to look forward to. And you will learn to enjoy all the beautiful aspects of romance that don't involve sexual intercourse. If you are a member of a religious congregation, you may have been taught the value of abstinence. Even if you have never had sex, even if you have taken an abstinence pledge, it is important to be fully informed about how to prevent pregnancy and sexually transmitted infections. Becoming turned on. What exactly is going on when you become turned on? They say the brain is the largest sex organ. When masturbation lasts long enough, and if you are old enough to be making sperm, it can result in ejaculation, usually beginning between ages 11 and 16. It is a safe way to privately and safely release the buildup of sexual tension and to learn about what pleases you, what your body enjoys. And don't worry, you won't run out of sperm by masturbating. It won't affect your athletic performance, and it is not something you will have to stop when you are older and begin to have sex with someone. Similarly, it's not dangerous to become aroused, have an erection, and not ejaculate. They do not ejaculate sperm like men do, but they do have orgasms, and a few women release fluid when they orgasm. However, not all people masturbate, and your family may not approve, so you need to be sensitive to their feelings. I like this word better than the one your parents probably use, foreplay, because foreplay implies it is leading up to something more, such as intercourse. Some people believe that oral sex is a way to remain a virgin and not have to worry about getting pregnant. Don't believe that oral sex doesn't count as sex. The decision about when to begin to have sexual intercourse is affected by how you were raised, your religious beliefs and values, your age, what your parents have told you about how they feel on the subject, if they discuss these things at all, and when you are in a loving relationship. Ultimately, the decision to become sexually active is your own. Perhaps the best way to tell if you are in a real relationship as opposed to an infatuation is if you can communicate openly and freely. Whether you want to delay sex, start sex, or have more satisfying sex, you need to be able to talk about sex. You may have been raised to keep your sexual organs covered and to be quiet about any topic that was related to genitals or sexual feelings. You need to be able to feel comfortable asking if your partner has ever had sex before and asking him or her to get tested. And I mentioned that they do have the testing now where it's like they can do it in your mouth and you don't have to get the needle. Here are some examples of things that might be important to you. Being faithful, being truthful, not gossiping about each other, not doing anything sexual that the two of you have not already agreed to. Try to be clear with your partner and keep your verbal messages in line with your body language. This does not mean that you necessarily should be talking about all of this yet. For some of you, your conversations may relate to how you like to be kissed. And it's good to be able to talk about kissing if your partner doesn't quite understand the way you like it. Look beneath the surface. Not that this is a time of your life when you're looking for a lifelong partner, but it may be a good time to learn to look beneath the surface of someone you are considering hooking up with. So I mentioned about the trust and how different we have trust with different uh, there are different investments in different trusts. And so, it's like, even though we're doing a love connection with Jane Goodall versus Jane Fonda, that's still what that means. Like, it may not be this Alvin, this particular Alvin, but it's still an Alvin, so this one may just be this particular album, but it's like, okay, well, if it's Jane Fonda with this particular album, then where's the other album for Jane Goodall? If it's Jane Goodall with this particular album, then where's the other album for Jane Fonda? So to be able to read your body signals, you have to stay connected to your body. It is important to be prepared for how to handle it if the person you're with tries to convince you to move ahead sexually when you feel uneasy about it. No, never has to be justified. In these moments, you must be true to yourself. If you rely on body language, you are likely to be misread or to misread someone's feelings or intentions. And that is so true. Because for some reason you're like, oh, if I've gone in that one a lot, because it's like, oh, if someone crosses their arms, if someone crosses their arms at you while you're talking to them, they're talking to you. Well, that means, they're like closed off to what you're saying or the conversation, or they feel that their space is being invaded. I'm like, what? I mean, did they really start about some like paranoia? Like, where did that come from? But so I'm like, sometimes I just do that. Like, I just do that. Anyhow, okay. Like, you really can dictate that's why I'm crossing my arms. That's what that means to you. And you can really dictate that meaning on someone else's body, someone else's arms as fat. Like that is really possible for you, and that has a place in your reality. Not to judge, I'm just asking. There is no mechanical function, no button to push that guarantees sexual arousal. Do not assume that because someone is quiet that he or she is comfortable with your actions. Some people become too intimidated to say that they want you to stop. So I guess what they're saying is that just because someone doesn't specifically tell you to stop doesn't mean that a stop isn't warranted, that you're not supposed to stop, or that you're not to stop. It doesn't mean proceed, continue. I like that. I like you. Yeah. She only wants to be friends. I am very touched by these boys, and to better know how to respond to them, I asked Paul Kivel, who has written many books for and about boys, how he would respond. This can be because she doesn't feel safe or comfortable with her partner, or she doesn't feel confident enough to be relaxed. In some women, the clitoris isn't close enough to the opening of the vagina to be stimulated by the penis during intercourse. It may be the wrong time, the wrong partner. He may be nervous because this really matters to him. He may have had too much to drink or be on drugs, or he may be taking a medication that prevents his getting an erection. No matter how regular her menstrual cycle seems to be, a female can never know for sure that neither of her ovaries has released an egg. We'll be talking about safer sex and avoiding sexually transmitted infections or STIs in chapter 14. Break the cycle, empowering you to end domestic violence, www.breakthecycle.org. So it doesn't seem like we're gonna like get through all of it today, but we're gonna try our best to finish as much as we can and find a comfortable place to stop. Thus, the acronym LGBTQ stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning, and includes all people who do not identify as straight or heterosexual. So, not only is it lesbian, stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning. That's LGBTQ. It includes people who do not identify as straight or heterosexual. Heterosexual people are born feeling comfortable being the gender they appear to be, and they are attracted to people of the opposite sex. Some people feel that they've been born with an incorrectly assigned gender. Scientists today believe that sexual orientation is a natural trait, just like the person's body type or hair color. There is also considerable evidence to suggest that biology, including genetic or inborn hormonal factors, plays a significant role. The most recent survey, conducted in 2012 by Gallup, suggests that 6.4% of people ages 18 to 29 identify as gay. On some level, it is odd to have a separate chapter on this subject because all the subjects in this book are relevant to gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender teenagers. Gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people are more like straight people than they are different. A lesbian couple can use donated sperm to become pregnant, or a female friend might agree to become pregnant with the sperm from a gay male couple. The reason that gay people have been afraid to be themselves is that they have been insulted, threatened, attacked, abused, murdered, and denied common rights that straight people take for granted. Some people hate or fear homosexuals because they are afraid of people who are different. Imagine if everybody thought it was okay to hate, fear, and abuse people just because they were born with blue eyes. Unfortunately, there are added burdens when you grow up as a gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender teen. If you are lesbian, bisexual, gay, trans, or questioning, you may feel confused about your identity. People who are cruel. It is unfortunate that people feel that by hating gay, lesbian, bisexual, or trans youth, it proves that they are not like them. Being hateful or judgmental toward anyone is not right. Some of these haters excuse their behavior by citing the Bible, saying that it calls homosexuality a sin. Many young people are curious about same-sex attraction and need to talk to other people who have been through the same experience. If this is your situation, it's best to have your initial conversation with the people you anticipate will be most accepting. Some teenagers have to make a decision to be out among family members, but not at school or vice versa. Some parents wonder if they did something that made you turn out gay or initially feel disoriented because they always imagine you growing up a particular way. Some parents appear disappointed because they fear you won't get married or have children. There are parents who are so angry that they become abusive. If you want to be honest with your parents but don't know how to talk to them, you may want to contact one of the support groups listed in the resources list at the end of this chapter. This is what he has to say about his transition from girl to boy. I don't think the way I grew up had any effect on this issue. The disconnect between the body they were born with and how they feel about their gender identity can be excruciatingly painful for transgender teens. Many children know at an early age, 3 or 4 years, that they are not the sex they appear to be, and they struggle with their parents force them to dress and behave like their birth gender. If you feel you are trans and think it is safe to discuss this with your parents, help yourself and them to understand all you can about what this means and how best to manage it by getting assistance from counselors and resources in the trans community. Some decide to move their family to a new school where their trans child can start over as the gender they identify with and thus have less risk of being teased or bullied. A growing number of teenagers who realize that for whatever reason they were misassigned at birth and want to realign who they are with how they think of themselves, decide to undertake medical, social, and legal steps to transition from their assigned birth gender to their true gender. This means going through therapy, hormone treatments, and operations that will realign their brain gender and their body gender. This is a brave thing to do. A final word to gay, lesbian, bi, and trans youth. Here are some places to go for information support. The Hattrick Martin Institute is a New York City-based nonprofit organization devoted to serving the needs of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning, or LGBTQ youth. And we are going to stop there. And I did not know. So I'm like watching RuPaul's Drag Race and Courtney Act, and I'm like, I didn't know. And I guess sometimes, you know, I mean, because really, whose business is it for you to assign a sex to somebody anyway? You know, um, when you see this person, you thinking this or you thinking that. Like, is that really your business? So, we're gonna stop here. We still have a little bit more to go and be in a team by Jane Fonda. So our next show we're gonna get into that and Jennifer Lopez's True Love, and we're gonna finish up UN news as well. This is when the late show with BT. Bye.